So very, very serious, heinous crimes. I'll just pass this. I'll just quickly just say that there are a lot of resources out there. This one is from the RCMP. Just a short video, but like on their website, there's just a lot of resources for adults and children. A lot of cyberbullying because it's such a big, serious issue. And there's just a lot of information and a lot of help for everyone. I'll get to that at the very end. There's 2 sites that I personally can attest to. There are so many though. There's a lot from America, but these 2 at the end are specifically from Canada. But just a lot of good information. There's a lot of information for parents, for children, for youth, for teens, for educators. I think there's even like a section for one of the sites I saw for school bus drivers. There's just so many different roles and so many different, communities that this touches that it's important for everyone to stay informed. So in terms of social media, where cyberbullying seems to happen the most, again, this is just a very generalization. I don't think it has changed too much over the last few years. Obviously one platform can just go more than another at any time. But it's just good to know. Instagram is pretty big. I know it's big in my daughter's school. Some other schools are different. I know one of her friends, their school, Snapchat is really big for some reason. So it doesn't matter what app it is. I would say there's good and bad in everything, right? We just need to be on top of it. But just so you know, Instagram, still Facebook worldwide, I think, Snapchat, WhatsApp, YouTube, Twitter. Those seem to be the main ones. So I brought up this example because I don't know if you guys know Chrissy Teigen. I think she was a model and she became sort of like famous for social media stuff. She's married to John Legend, who's a musical artist. So they're both in the public eye. And I think when her career started to take off with him, it got more popular. People started digging up her past posts. And this is from over a decade ago. So just imagine you're a younger person and you're just, having online feuds with whoever. And you probably are gonna say things that you regret, but it's there. And I would assume that she regrets these things because they're pretty mean. She's talking about this one particular girl that was on some sort of, I think a reality show. But she says some pretty cutting things. So this affected her 10 years later, when she was trying to, have her own product and her own persona online for her and her family. And people still bring this up with what she had said in the past. So just a good reminder for everybody, especially kids. I think someone already spoke to before. You want to retaliate. You want to speak out of emotion, and it's really hard, right? Especially when you just have your device right in front of you. It's so easy, and you have this wall of anonymity sometimes, right? So you can just say the meanest thing, whatever's in your heart at that moment. But it could affect your career, right? It could affect your school. These are all things that people look at now, even for the police. One of the things that my understanding is when they get hired, they're going to look at your social media now, and they're going to get you to tighten it up. So I'm pretty sure that's across the board with every job now. Whatever you're trying to apply for, they're going to look at what your social media. Did you have a question? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I won't belabor this. Everybody's already gone. The speakers this morning were wonderful, and they've already gone over some of these impacts. But these are certainly the impacts that can happen and do happen. And again, not just children, to adults. There's no just one group that this touches. This touches really everybody. But it is a good thing to think about when your kid comes home or somebody that you care about comes home. And their personality changes. And there's cues that we need to take care of each other. And even kids at school, if your friend just starts to, act out themselves, it's not a bad idea to just ask them. If they're not ready to talk about it, that's one thing, but it's not a bad thing as a friend to, hold up your hand and video listening here, because maybe that will, be the thing that helps them just kind of come out with whatever, they need to talk about. Another great video from one of the sites, I think this is actually Canada.ca cyberbullying, but it's just, again, just more informative stuff. You can find it everywhere. It's just the same message, right? We really need to hammer this home. We need to stop this from occurring, and we need to support the people that are enduring it, because it's all around the world. It's the people that we love, and these impacts don't just go away, right? They could be lifelong. So yeah, that's just another, I just wanted to bring this up. It's an old video, but it's kind of a different twist. So what's kind of rampant right now in schools are viral fight videos. I'm sure you've all seen them. The kids definitely have. They definitely share them. They are like, it has just gone totally bananas. So it's a serious problem. It's almost encouraged because kids keep sharing them and they keep creating new ones. And there are kids that are getting severely bullied. And then the video of it impacts them a secondary time, right, on another level. So I'll just show this one. It's not, I'm not gonna show like the fight or anything, but it's just a different twist on it.
From NBA star LeBron James. It shows Ivan Ali Miller breaking up a fight on the street between two guys, two teenagers. While a group surrounds them, somewhat egging them on, laughing at them. Ali, in a very calm manner, gets between the boys, gets them to stop, and by the end, even gets them to shake hands.
And he was minding his business. He just came out the car and just stopped it. Like he didn't like that at all. He said, I would not leave until you guys shake hands.
And this was on stage.
Oh, yes, sir. It was like, this kid and Ali, I don't think a lot. Because it wasn't that.
We made them shake hands and they did that. And I just wish it was more people, but we need some more Ali's out there.
And then Ali Miller, indeed, he was honored by Atlantic City's council, along with the boys, where he said that these sorts of acts, he's right.
So I followed up with a story a year later, because sometimes we just kind of hear about stuff and we don't know what happens. But the news actually followed up with that as well.
Years since an internet video of two brawling teenagers and a man who stopped the fight went viral.
And as Michelle Miller found out, the fights seen around the world and its peaceful resolution have changed the young men's lives and their New Jersey community.
In the midst of Atlantic City street protest march, while young bystanders reported every swing, neighbor Ali Miller stepped in, broke it up, and gave these teens a piece of his mind. Miller's lecture to this crowd went viral, now viewed more than 36 million times. Words taken apart by Sheldon Moore and Jamar Mobley.
Why is it different?
I never had a father figure in my life. So like I was mad and different like, oh, for real? Like he said, Jamar was my father, shouldn't have been.
It's important, yep. Don't make your mom and dad look like this, yeah. What did he tell you then?
He said shake hands. And at first we were gonna shake hands and we still mad at each other. He said he was not leaving until we shook hands.
Wasn't that wild about?
He still won't leave. The teens say he's the big brother they both need, meeting with him at least once a week.
I was living a nightmare, chasing a dream.
To help them work through their own thoughts.
So what I really want to point out about this story is that that gentleman stayed in those young boys' lives. So they were lucky to have that. But number one, that consistency obviously made a difference. But what's important is in the original video, what he says is, all of you guys are cowards. He's pointing out the people that are filming it. And as you all know, that is a huge problem in our society. Somebody gets shot, and people pull their phone out before they call the police, and they film it. So it's a huge problem, and it's gonna take some brave people like this gentleman to put a stop to it, and look at the difference that he made in those boys' lives. Potentially, you know, who knows, right? They don't even know the benefits that it's laid. So again, just bystanders can totally make a difference. They can put a stop to it. And in schools, it's really hard. Everybody just wants to go with the group, the cool group, whatever. But, you know, it does help if you refuse to laugh, if you refuse to watch it, if you walk away, if you don't share it, if you don't video it, right? If you don't repeat the rumors, if you get sent sensitive material that you don't share it with everybody that you know, right? You can be the dam for that continuing, then it only benefits all the victims. And I will just bring this up very quickly. When I worked in exploitation, I didn't know much about that world at the time. But I went to a bunch of conferences and victim survivors would get up. And the thing that really stuck out to me initially was the abuse that they endured by a loved one, they could get over. But it was thinking about that material just being online forever that just caused them so much anxiety, and there was no end to it. So if everyone can just think about that, it's not that much different with cyberbullying, with these viral fight videos. That, basically that crime potentially is just on the internet forever, and people have that against you potentially, right? And just knowing that it's out there is a huge, huge impact. It's impacts that we've never even known that we would have before the internet, right? This is all new to us, so it's very, very serious. So I think this is common sense, but you should only be friends with people you know in real life, right? I'm sure we teach all our kids this, but kids don't follow that rule, and a lot of adults don't either. You think you know who you're talking to, right? There's a lot of romance scams out there. You think you're talking to a beautiful man or a beautiful woman, but you're not. You have no idea who you're talking to. Like, this is just a take on like Austin Powers' character, where he's purposefully trying to be undesirable. I'm not saying that everybody is like that or anything. It's just you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if this person is good or bad, what they've done in the past, what they know about you, and what they're willing to do. I won't get too into this just because of the audience, but I just wanted to point out this particular criminal offense. So it was enacted in 2015, and it became an offense because of our changing world and the internet. So prior to this, having any sexualized image of anyone under the age of 18 was considered child pornography. But that kind of encompassed a lot, way too much. There were kids sharing intimate photos with one another, and they're not a predator per se, right? They can be, but a lot of them are just kids. They're not a pedophile, right? So they had to come up with something that was more specific to that type of offense, and also for people that are over the age of 18. So if anyone shares your intimate images without your consent, it's a criminal offense. And that's just the wording straight out of the Canada Criminal Code. And this is the definition of what an intimate image is. So anybody can look this up online, just so that you're aware of what it means and how serious it is. And so this is meant to protect you if you're in that circumstance. Human trafficking is just another serious issue, so I'm not going to delve too much into that because this is based on cyberbullying. Just know that there's a lot of different criminal offenses that have a cyber component, and a lot of things that we need to help safeguard our children for. Just a reminder how predators work. They lure victims by using attention and affection. So kids, it's like basically a friend, right? Somebody that they can confide in. And these predators are master manipulators. This is all they do, all they want, you know, whatever they want, and that is their goal, and they know how to get it, and it's not just one victim. They often have multiple victims, which means they have the experience building up for how to better manipulate the next person. So yeah, they'll stay on trend with fashion, with music, with games. Gaming world, again, is another place you need to really safeguard your kids, because it's definitely, there's some things going on there. Basically, anywhere kids go, predators will go, because that's where they want to go, right? That's their playground. Before TikTok, there was a platform called Musical.ly. I don't know if anybody remembers that one. So very similar. TikTok is very addicting, right? Just really quick videos. And for kids, it was amazing. They get to see themselves, right? They get to see their friends dancing, whatever. But prior to that, it was Musical.ly. And it was really popular among young girls because they could like do their dance moves or do their gymnastic moves or sing or whatever. And they all aspired to be that. They aspired to be a singer, a dancer, a model, whatever. And so predators would go there and pretend to be a model agent or, you know, a famous gym coach or something promising them that their dreams would come true. So again, just this manipulation from the beginning. And then the things that they would ask these young girls seemed very innocent at first. Oh, I want to see you do this pose or that pose. But then eventually it would get to something a lot more nefarious. I had one case where it was a very young girl, and the predator was even able to get her to include her younger sister. So this can happen very quickly. You've got no idea what your kids are doing behind closed doors, and we need to be aware. This is just an example, I think, from a year ago, where we just assisted. So another big thing that happens, or something that's kind of unfortunately happening for young men, is they'll go online. They think they're talking to a young teenage girl. That individual will get them to send intimate images, and then they'll immediately say, "We're going to share this with your whole family, unless you give us this, right? Unless you give us money, unless you give us whatever." And this is what I'm talking about. For young men, they're not going to go to their parents. It's very embarrassing. They're going to try to figure out a way to deal with it themselves. Unfortunately, that's not the ideal way. Your parents are the ones that are going to be there for you and are going to help you and are going to put a stop to it. But when you're in that situation, you're just in panic mode, right? So this was one of those situations where the young male never came forward. It was just that his parents found out just by chance. So what this suspect did was, okay, now go get me an iTunes card. This is not just about like sexual exploitation. This could be any sort of scam. If anybody wants you to get an iTunes card or a Google Play card, please, it's a huge red flag. You know, once you get it, and they're gonna ask you to take a picture of it, now they have the code for it, and then that's it. Your money's gone, you won't get it back. The police can't even get it back for you. But that's what this tactic was in this case. The thing is, in this case, he didn't even send any intimate images. He actually refused. But this individual used his face on, I guess, his social media that was accessible publicly, and then put it onto an intimate image to make it look like it was him that had taken it, but that wasn't true. But again, just another thing to try to manipulate this young male and intimidate him into getting what they wanted. So yeah, we already talked about romance scams. Again, this happens across the board, not just young people, adults, right? Where you think you've learned life experience, but you fall in love and you don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe it's a scam. But definitely it does happen, and people lose a lot of money. So these are the websites I just wanted to finish off with for you guys. Cybertip.ca is wonderful. They have a lot of good info there. And just kind of like information to just get yourself abreast of what's going on currently, what you can do in those situations. And this is another one, needhelpnow.ca. I really recommend this one for any young person, especially anyone that might worry about images that they've sent, because there's a section in it. Actually, I think the website looks a bit different, so just know that they have a section, and as you can see here, you can go to a certain platform, and they'll give you step-by-step what you can do to, stop that from happening, whether it's the spread of that, those pictures or those videos, reporting it to that social media app. It just kind of guides you through. But they all have resources to anyone that's going through cyberbullying. I believe there's like 24/7 help counselors that are available. So anybody that is going through that or knows somebody that goes through that, just know that there's definitely help out there. There are a lot of people that care, and you're not alone. It unfortunately happens to, I think the statistics now are half or more than half. So you're actually in the majority now. You're not even in the minority anymore. And I will say this, for cyberbullying, the statistics now are that young girls are not just the most victims in that group, they're also the biggest perpetrators. So just want you to think about that. You know how girls can be very mean. They play it in movies all the time. I grew up, as a girl, right? So I think we're all aware that for whatever reason, the social dynamic of girls and kind of like rumors spreading and it's very emotionally charged sometimes. But now that the internet is there, like I said, it can be documented and recorded and be there, and it's very difficult to get back. So I think somebody asked about the signal before. So again, this is not universally accepted, and it's not something that the police have ever advocated for, because it's not a understood thing. But I believe it's you put your thumb here and then you put your hands down. Again, who's to say that will work for sure? But that is definitely has trended, and I don't know personally of any case that's worked. So I can't give that confirmation or support for that, but it is out there. So yeah, that's me, and I welcome anybody who wants to have any questions. If I don't have the answers, I'll try to find somebody that can. But that's the information right
there. You're amazing. I don't have a short of words. I'm speechless. A bigger hand clap. Very big hand clap. You opened our eyes to a lot of things that we were taking for granted, a lot of things that we just chose not to care, to understand, a lot of things that are very important. Suicide is real. The people who are abusing you on the cyber, you don't even know them. They don't affect you physically, but they affect your mental. They make you feel worthless. Before you know it, you'd rather take your life. Thank you very much. And for coming and for not going after they call you for an emergency. So stay with us. A bigger hand clap for joining. Now I need to know, do you have a TV program or radio program? Do you go to schools? Because this information, definitely the whole world, not just Canada, is supposed to see this and be very careful, with their lives.
So the other officers that were here, they are community officers, and I know that they get asked quite often to speak at schools. My unit definitely does. I did a lot when I was at exploitation, obviously. But yeah, it's a huge need. Certainly we're not the main ones that do it all the time, but if we get asked, we will definitely be there if we can make the time. Because yeah, it's a huge problem. Elementary schools already, they're already dealing with this, right? And then especially that very special time before you go into high school, it's just another milestone in their lives that maybe they need some extra preparation for. Maybe we can kind of give them a heads up of what's to come, and they can kind of safeguard themselves.
Wow, lovely. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Now, you're not going to go right now. You're going to take a seat over here, okay? And just wait for the hot questions. Don't worry, it will be simple for you to answer. You have all the answers. May I ask Conrad to come as well? And then Dr. Barbara, where is she? Where's the pretty face? Please come over here as well, because we are going through question and answers. And of course, after the questions and answers, we shall have John's band again to give it to us, to soothe our mentors with wonderful music. And I need everybody's attention and everybody's participation. Okay, so we need each other here. We need each other here. And of course, I need the questions if you wrote them down, or would you prefer reading your question yourself so that you feel like you're actually participating? That is also not wrong at all. You would like your beautiful voice to be heard and you want to read your question. It will be very, very good. In a very special way, I recognize the presence of Omukungu of Sabaseja Kabaka. And Sabaseja means His Royal Highness, the King of Buganda from Uganda. We have a major representative, one on top in Canada, Mrs. Sebulime. Please stand up for recognition. Mrs. Sebulime Noelin, we want to thank you for being at every event, but not only being at every event, but also supporting the community a lot, okay? Supporting the community. She has a very important church that she usually goes to and invites very many people to go there, and that is St. Andrew's Catholic Church at Kipling. You can visit them. They usually have their services at 7 p.m. So it would be very good for you to go and commune with them. We really appreciate you. Yes, Patrick, where are you? Come and stand up for recognition. Patrick is another amazing person that has done a lot of work in community, and now this one does not only make one conference, and that will be it for us to wait for another next year. No, every week, every weekend, there's always something that he organized. Just 1 second, just tell us what is on now.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Patrick King Messenger. I work for Hope for Refugees International, and we are refugee-led, gender-diverse-led, grassroots equity-seeking organization that works to empower refugees, asylum seekers, and newcomers to live quality lives with equity, dignity, and opportunities to realize their full potential. So we basically do broader programming around supporting refugees and newcomers in line to housing, employment, health, and GBV, gender-based violence. So it's my pleasure to be here and to learn as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very quickly, of course, as our panel, I'm doing this because I'm waiting for questions. Carol is one of those, my role models when it comes to moderation. She usually does this best, but because she was very engaged this afternoon, that's the reason why I have this microphone. Carol, stand up for recognition. We want to appreciate your beautiful, amazing moderation. She does it the best, better than me. Carol, thank you so much for being part of this. I need your questions. Anybody with a question? Especially the young people. Yes, I knew that you had a question. That's why I am here. And that's why I put on pink, just like you. Hot pink, moreover. Okay, stand up and give us a question. Are you ready for a question? Just stand up. Yeah.
What is the age, like appropriate age to have social media?
Appropriate age for social media. Very important. Dear parents, are you there? We are actually fighting for you. Mr. Alex from TD Bank, but also one of the leads of Banyachitara group. Banyachitara all the way from the Western Uganda. We appreciate you, Mr. Alex. Stand up for recognition. Thank you so much for being part of every community event, but most of all, for participating in community work. That's very lovely. Parents and children are usually, I'm old enough, I'm 16, I'm 15, I should have a phone. No, we should go on social media. No, I don't want to analog. No, I want to. That's a hot question. Okay, you have a question as well. And these are very good friends, so they came together. You miss school, I miss school. You're going to come for the land acknowledgement, I'm coming with you. So you know how that support comes in. Yes, please.
How long does it take the police to reach a far distance emergency?
probably standing. I love to see how tall you are. Are you taller than me or standing? Just loudly. Yeah.
How long does it take the police to reach a far distance emergency?
Sorry, a far distance emergency? Okay, so that's a little bit difficult only because every division is very different, and some divisions are small. I started downtown in 52 and it's very, very small, so we got there very quickly, but I can't say that's because we were special. It's just that our area was quite small. I just know that when the dispatch gets an emergency call, those priority calls go right to the top. And even if people are busy doing something else, if it's not an emergency, they will take them off that call and divert them to whatever is necessary. So it's kind of like a triage system, whatever's the most urgent.
Wow.
And sorry, if I could just go back to the earlier question, please, if that's okay. I think this is a very difficult question, so great question. But there's no general age, obviously, right? Everybody matures differently. It's going to be between you and your parents. It's going to be how mature you are and what you've shown, I think, to prove to your parents that you can be trusted. And that has to continue, right? It doesn't just stop right there. It's got to be a continuing communication and relationship. As long as parents are aware of what is actually capable of these smartphones, they're basically computers, right? We've all got this very powerful computer in our pocket all the time, and we can do a lot of things, and so can other people. So as long as you can manage that, and you keep that open discussion with your kids all the time, it's gonna be hard to say you can never have a phone, right? You can't go until you're 18. It's just very difficult for kids these days. Everybody's on social media, their friends are on there. It would be, I think, quite a hardship if they were the ones that were singled out to not have any social media. But again, that's the choice that you're gonna have to make with your family. But that's just sort of the balancing act that you have to navigate.
I know that Dr. Barbara, I beg your pardon, so has something to add.
No, I am in total agreement with Officer Juliet, because I think it's based on the parents and how much they think the child is mature, but at the same time, is the child taking responsibility by following what guidelines or rules that is given by the parents? Because sometimes you may say they reach the age, but they're not listening to what the parents is saying. And there's a movie that's you can all watch. It's on cyberbullying, where this young lady, she actually turned, I think it was 15, 16, somewhere there. The parents bought the computer for her, but told her that you do not go on certain media apps. But her friends influenced her to do so, and she did. And she was cyberbullied to the point she almost committed suicide. And the parents thought, okay, you're of age, but you still, because nothing is private like we hear. We hear here. So it's, again, depends on the individual, the child, and on the parents.
Having raised 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy, I think the first thing I would say to you is there is a component of human nature that says it is pointless to complain about a thing that just is, because it always will be. And I'm hearing some of that. Well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is because you let it be that way. If you're wondering what age to be on social media, first, have that conversation with your parents. Because there are adults who use social media and do incredibly stupid things on it. Not just malicious, or not necessarily malicious, but they do stupid things. And 2010, I published the Business Owner's Guide to Social Media. So I had been watching social media for quite a while. There are a lot of settings in social media that relate to your privacy, and a social media network can change those things at any point in time. They can move them, they can change something. One example is Facebook. and Facebook has done this, they have changed privacy settings so that what you set before is eliminated. And everything that you said was public or friends only or my eyes only gets reset to public. So just because it's safe to use social media right now is very different from saying that it's safe to use social media tomorrow. Because the social media sites themselves change the rules. This isn't a one-time, one-day conversation. If you're going to use things and you're using somebody else's service, it's very different from going home, closing the door, and throwing a lock. That door's locked until you open it the next day. In social media, the platforms can change the rules whenever they want to. So you have to be consistently and constantly vigilant.
And also, we shouldn't forget that many times the media platforms actually make more money when it is bad news. Have you noticed that? When it is something negative, the viewers are more. The more the viewers, the more the money. Are we aware of that? We need to put that in perspective. Okay, beautiful, thank you. That was really wonderful response. I have a gentleman here, I have a lady here, and I have several over there. So let's have your question, and thereafter Carol will ask.
Thank you. My name is Innocent Karuhanga, part of the community of Uganda. Mine is a question, but it's more of a concern, because I think as part of the community, as we all know, cyberbullying has gone beyond and above where we've never seen it before, and if I was to start talking about it now, I think I would spend the whole day. What is happening in the community, as even as we speak right now, pictures being posted, video being posted, people being abused and this and that. What is the right protocol, procedure in order to reach the right, before you go to even to your lawyer? What can you do as a regular person in the community to make sure that you report that what is happening? And also, is it possible that in your department, I'm talking to the lady in the green, sorry I forgot your name, yeah, I apologize, Julie, is it possible that there's an implication on the and again, WhatsApp admins, the WhatsApp administrators, are they implicated into what is being posted on those groups? And if that's the case, how are they implicated? How can they be part of the solution? Thank you.
Innocent Carol,
My apologies.
Is just shortly, is a community leader, and he is one of those people that we usually run to when we have issues and conflicts in community. Not because he's a police officer or anything, but because he tries his best to balance up issues and neutralize a conflict without fear or favor. So that's the reason why he's asking a question like that, because sometimes it can be really tough knowing exactly what to do when two community members have come in with a conflict. So thank you so much, especially you're such a busy personality, for being here all these hours. I'm surprised. Okay, Carol.
All right, thank you very much. And I'd like to appreciate all the panelists for the information you provided. It's very important. For the evolving world, we cannot do without social media, first of all. Myself, I can't see myself without my phone for hours. So it's very important. And as we talk about children see it the same way. My first question will go to Dr. Julie. You talked about advocacy, and my question is, at what stage does advocacy stop and we take action? Because I think every time we talk about advocating, at what time do we say, okay, community, let's come together collectively to take action? At what level do we come together? If we see things are not working out, we must also create other ways of how to get into solutions. That is number one. One of the yes, that's Dr. Julie. Dr. Barbara, yeah, I'm sorry, Julie, it was for Dr. Barbara. And then again, appreciate that Dr. Julie talked about how children and youth are very creative and innovative if they want to use social media. You cannot avoid them. And on the other side, there's one of the things that Dr. Barbara mentioned, that we have to ensure we train parents, but also strengthen the relationships between parents and their children. At what level do we build the nexus? Because you realize that children can do anything when they're out of home. When they're home, they are angels. So how do we strengthen the relationship between parents and children? And lastly, for both Julie and Barbara, I think it's for everyone in the room, what can we do to ensure that we have control measures? I know Innocent just talked about the control systems. What are those mechanisms, control systems that you have put in place in your working places so that we can learn from them? Because best practices are always good if we can also practice them as a community. Thank you very much.
Do we have any other question so that they are able to address them? Oh, yes. I love the fact that gentlemen are very active and that they attended. Sometimes daddies, husbands, and gentlemen, they're not that present, even at home, some of them, sometimes. But we are happy that we have daddies, husbands, and males that are here and are trying to add value. Yes, Mr. So.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Tagi, Daphne and your team. Thank you for what you're doing to advance this cause. Thank you to the panelists. The question goes to Officer Julia. We have really appreciated what you are doing as police, and the fact that you have researched into this topic. But as one of the participants has asked, what are we doing to mitigate? Because we don't want to be seen as if we are just there to lament. We know that these crimes were there even before internet came into use. But because of the word you used, that it goes viral, that makes it, a very complicated thing to handle, because in a very short time, it has gone all over the world.